Gentlemen, we've been over the rules. Protect yourself at all times.
On the fence. I'm on the fence.
We don't need to
We left hook from Yaoundé came and landed on him,
So, hello everybody. Welcome back to the sixth episode of King's Court Meets. Kings are back, and we are here with Avinash, who is the IMMAF president for the Mauritian Federation. Avinash, thank you for joining us, and we're really glad to have you on today.
I thank you as well for giving me the opportunity to be present in this meeting.
That is, the pleasure is all ours. The pleasure is all ours. My name is Mardi, if you didn't know, Samardi, but Mardi for short.
Yes, an APL. I'm back, people. I know I've been away for a long time, but I'm back.
So I'm the president of Mauritius Mixed Martial Art Federation.
Yes.
So I represent IMMAF for Mauritius.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Brilliant. And yeah, Avinash, if you just want to introduce yourself,
So
the work that you do.
The president of IMMAF is Mr. Corinne Brown.
Correct, for the whole global,
Exactly.
the IMMAF Federation.
Exactly.
Indeed. So if you want to introduce yourself, Avinash, in terms of how you got into MMA and what your background is and what you're doing at the moment within Mauritius MMA, would be good.
So just to resume, MMA in Mauritius started 10 years back, 2012, when I got to know about MMA. And since then, there were only the UFC, professional MMA that was around. And at the time, it was a matter of new experience. And because I come from the traditional martial arts, and I was already in grappling and BJJ, and so I got to know MMA, and it was a long journey. Because my goal at that time is to know about the sport, to learn about the sport, and I had the feelings that MMA would be definitely one of the mostly demanded sport over the world. And consequently, what happened, for a sport to be strong and for a sport to get ground, so it needs to be well set up, well structured, and as well we need to have the recognition of the authority. And here in Mauritius, we have the Ministry of Sport, and we have a very rigid Sports Act. The compliance is quite huge. I managed to go through, and finally in 2022, we've got the recognition from the Ministry of Sport as a national sport under the Mixed Martial Art Federation Mauritius. Yeah, so it was a long journey, as I said, but it was a huge experience because to bring a sport from the ground, a sport that did not even existed at that time, and bring it, get it structured, get all the facilities, which was very difficult at that time, regarding the equipments, regarding even the training, regarding the rules, regulations, and how to start the training. And I managed to gather some friends who were already with me in other sport combat, and we managed to bring around some kind of exchanges. And finally, I joined IMMAF, whereby I've got lots of facilities in terms of development, in terms of facilities, all this stuff. And gradually, I've got to bring people who were willing eventually to join the force to make this sport develop as need to. And yeah, here we are today. We have the National Federation. We have around 17 clubs, and we are soon opening some 5 more clubs in other regions. We have a full-fledged structure in terms of 15 commissions, which comprised of youth commission, women commission, medical, anti-doping, coaches, referee judges, marketing, compliance, administration, strategy development, event championship, media commission. So range of setup that I've made, and everyone working the same direction, and we are eventually having a fabulous time with everyone in the development of the sport.
Fantastic, fantastic. So how has the uptake, because I know it's only a couple of years, right, in terms of since you guys have been fully recognized by the government, how has the uptake been? Have people been interested? How are you going about recruiting, for students?
At start, people did not know about the sport because the idea was a mix of everything. They thought that MMA, okay, you can do anything, can hit where you want, it's a street fight, and eventually that gave the impression of a dangerous sport. Because I remember when at that time I was talking with the authority, they told me, no, MMA is quite difficult to get recognition, and many people were telling me, you are having a dream that could never be become true, because MMA is quite difficult to get recognition because it's mixed martial art. Which art is it? It's a mix of everything. Eventually, I said no, because you should understand, it could be a mixed martial art of many arts, but it is structured under a system. And gradually, IMMAF brought the rules, the amateur rules, which is very, very different from the professional one, what you see in other professional promotions. And it was hard to explain to people, to make them understand that, okay, there's certain kind of movements of punches or throws is not allowed. So gradually it was difficult, but gradually I managed to make people understand that they need to come according to certain principle, certain structure. Even now itself, I'm having quite lots of work to do under the education plan, because people don't understand sometimes. They think that, okay, I can do anything, because for me the main aspect for the sport is safety. As any sport, in anything that you do, even in your life, everyday life, if there is no safety, so you need to think twice before you engage yourself. And now we are trying to bring the youth in the sport, the kids in the sport. So there should be eventually a kind of of environment where those people, even also the parents, feel that their children are in a safe environment. So how to do it? It's actually here in Mauritius, my responsibility to deliver this education to everyone. That we need to respect certain protocols, certain way of developing the sport, because it's a new sport. If we handle it, with no responsibility, so we'll have lots of surprises, which may eventually harm the sport.
Yeah, no, I see, and it sounds like you've been really a true pioneer of mixed martial arts in Mauritius and also in the Indian Ocean area and in the African area as well. So kudos to that. You've done a really good job.
Just to add upon, we've got like 6 people who've been trained for the referee and judges level C. Because first of all, we need to get used to know about the rules. So in 2016, 6 people were trained. Last year, we had 13 coaches who got the international IMMAF coach level 1. And recently, last weekend, we've got a refresher course through the Africa Confederation, the head of the regulatory commission. He eventually hosted a session regarding the rules of MMA, because there should be always a refresher coming up for the people to keep on reminding that what not to forget the basic of the sport, but especially the rules.
That's true, and that's really important because people think you just have to train the fighters, but no, you have to train the foundations around mixed martial arts, the referees, the facilities, everything. So it's really
Exactly.
important.
Mhm.
And I saw that recently you held the Indian Ocean MMA Championships, amateur championships this year.
Yeah, yeah.
How was that event? How was it?
So I always wanted to have a kind of structure for the Indian Ocean, and we have it already. So we have Mauritius, the Reunion Island, Madagascar, Seychelles, and Como, who are already, you have also Mayotte, who are already member of IMMAF, because everyone already under the umbrella. So what was remaining is to have an annual event for us to gather together and have, like, a kind of celebration for the sport. And the only way to celebrate is through an event. So I think that the Indian Ocean MMA Championship will be a yearly meeting. So we started this year on March. I think it will be around March, the same month every year. And yeah, it went on very well. We had 4 countries participated: Mauritius, Green Island, Madagascar, and Como. It was above expectation. To hold an event, you need all the materials. First of all, the equipments. You need the team. You need experienced people, because it's not only about the fight. It's only also about the preparation. It's also about the medicals. It's also about the medical test, the laboratories to how to do the test to get it on time. It's about also the refereeing, the officials, because around the cage we need around 11, 12 people to be able to manage the event, and also all the coaches, they contributed to prepare the athletes, and other countries also, they participated, with like wholeheartedly they participated in the event. And yeah, it was fantastic, and I've got the privilege to have among us during the event the president of the International Mixed Martial Federation, Mr. Kerry Brown, was in Mauritius over the weekend, and also Gosha Malik, who is the head of member affairs for IMMAF. Both were in Mauritius, so they've seen what we've done and what are we capable of in the region, because we are far from what's happening in Europe, in the US, and the other part. So it's quite difficult for us to hold this level of event. But for me, it was quite difficult, but not impossible, and I managed to do it. So it was a very well set competition. Everyone were very happy. We got high level of fights. Okay, and yeah, I think now they are waiting for the next edition for next year. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that next year it will be like 2-3 times bigger. That's what we've done this year.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's what I was going to ask. What's the hope for this event? How do you envision it? 5 or 10 years down the line.
You see, each countries, each islands in the region, they're also doing their effort, and you have lots of promising athletes over there. Even here in Mauritius, many people are now willing for the sport, and they are training hard. I have no doubt about the future of the sport, because IMMAF is also doing its effort to bring the sport to the Olympics. So once we reach that level, it's a game changer. So everything will change. Everything will, will be in on another format. But till then, we can't just lie like this and just wait. We need to prepare the guys, prepare the youth, because the youth of today, 14, 15, that these people will be in the Olympics over maybe 10, 12 years. So we need to prepare them for that, So it should be an ongoing process, because IMMAF got the World Championship, the Africa Championship, and now we have the Indian Ocean Championship. So maybe Indian Ocean Cup can come maybe later on. And I'm also planning some kind of joint event in terms of youth development, women development, education for referee judges, for coaches, and ongoing, exchanges between the islands. Maybe they can come to Mauritius, can go over there. So it's kind of, friendship and event development, and the athletes get different stages. So I think that will be good for everyone. And I have quite few people interested in the development in the region. We have the head of MMA in Réunion, Mr. Cedric Sertone, who's very well set there. You have Luke in Madagascar. Okay, you have also Imara in Como. So you have also Seychelles, a good friend who is doing well over there. So everyone, I say on the preparation of bringing eventually a good show to everyone.
Nice. That's really good to hear. And I wanted to ask in terms about the funding as well, because here in the UK we have the English Mixed Martial Arts Federation as well, and there's not funding from the government to help further the sport, where we do see in other sports where it's youth or amateur cricket or amateur tennis, you see the funding. What's it like in Mauritius? Do you get that support for the government, or is that maybe the next step that you hope for?
The first aspect of in the development of a sport is to get the recognition of the government. Why? Because to be able to get respected, first of all. Secondly, it's like it's an official structure. Means there won't be any other sport federation who may claim to be the national federation. Okay, it's very important. Otherwise, it's like Far West. It's like Far West. Anyone can come and do anything. So you have national federation. Now you can't have a second national federation. So this is first and foremost goal about getting the recognition. Now, secondly, you have the assistance, so financial assistance. So we are a new sport. Okay, we are a new sport. Definitely, we need to prove ourselves, as the system would be. So you prove yourself, you get what you need, what you are doing eventually will reflect on your result. Okay, so we are eventually putting in place. That's why I put in place a very well defined structure, and we are getting a funding. It's not a huge amount, but at least it's a token that we are having just to show that the Ministry of Sport says okay, we now give the federation the responsibility to develop the sport. So to start with, we give you a small token, okay, a small amount just to start with. So 1 year since we've got the recognition, today I had a meeting with the Ministry of Sport regarding training and development. And recently there was the budget reading last week. And I hope maybe definitely the amount will be anyhow, have an increase, because we've shown eventually lots of development during recently last year. Okay, we've got lots of events we managed to organize, and from 23 to 24 also we have lots of projects coming up, and definitely I think we'll have eventually a good response regarding the funding. But even though we have the increase in our funding, that always won't be sufficient. That's why we need the private sectors. Okay, we need to have sponsors, but sponsors will always willing to come to organizations who are serious, who can eventually hold their brand, who can show eventually a long-term development, who can also show kind of professionalism that you're doing. That's why I tell all the guys, everyone in the federation, we need to to show ourselves in a kind of level. That's why I'm happy to see that everyone are following the rules. They are following the set protocols. Everything are going according to what the committee, the board have put in place, and that's where company will be happy to join us in the mission of bringing the sport to the highest level, because also we are aiming toward the youth, because we are having project on the deprived community. So we are signing MOU with the Junior Chambers International, JCI, also the Rotary Club, So we are joining with them. We are also having kind of MOU to have the support on the community-based development. Like we recently launched a school of MMA. It's not a club. It's a school whereby those kids, those youth, they come to train over the weekend. And we started with four youth. Now we reach around 35, 38. And the good thing is that the parents also are joining the sessions. So we are managing eventually to be able to to bring them on board and follow up on their on the activities, and we are also encouraging them not to neglect studies, because the sport is a part of their activities, and they need also to focus on their studies and how the sport may help them psychologically and to behave properly and to be eventually the future of their surroundings, families, and society.
Yeah, and no, I really appreciate the community work. Everywhere it's needed, but particularly within the sport of mixed martial arts. And I think the question I would pose in regards to the women. I believe you started doing some activities around, getting women more involved. Are you targeting a particular age group, or do you have in mind, getting like women who maybe of middle age or maybe younger women to get involved just to keep fit, and to compete, of course?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because MMA, for me, the way I see MMA is MMA for everyone. Okay, so we don't have a kind of choice who want to join MMA, because we have two platforms, elite and recreational. Okay, so definitely we are opening doors for each and everyone who are willing to join the sport, because it's also a mean of self-defense. It's a mean of better health. It's a mean of anti-stress. So you have lots of benefits when you join the training, because it's kind of challenges, after a whole day of work, you come to the gym and train a bit of punching, kicking, bringing on the ground, a challenge with friends. So that's why I'm focusing more on everyone. So we have lots of ladies, women joining the classes. I have working forces, I have adults, I have youth, so girls, women, so everyone are joining. But on these people that are coming, so then we try to see who got the potentials. We have quite half a dozen of girls who want to join the championship, who want to at least to try a bit for the competition. Yeah, so we give them the opportunity. And what we did also, we put in place a trial fights. So every 2 months, we have a trial fight that whereby they can come. So everyone, the boys and girls, they come and they can just try for 1, 2, or 3 minutes to see how it goes, just to get used of the fight. It's not a competition. It's not much more putting pressure on the mental that, okay, there's a competition, I'm stressed today, tomorrow. No, you come, you enjoy the fight. And if we see that the fights are, not according to the rules, we stop it. Then we tell them, okay, go back to your gym, learn the rules, learn the good way of fighting, then you come back next month. So when they come back, eventually you see it's much more like, in a good way. It's not like, doing anything, just hitting here and there.
Yeah, scratching and biting.
yeah, it's dangerous. So it's a proper way of developing the sport and bringing the people on the line that you have to respect each and every one, even respect yourself and others, and show us the good, the good movements.
Yeah.
Nice. It's really good. And you were talking about partnerships before, and I know that you were supporting a professional fighter, Michael Dubois, who recently fought in UAE Warriors as well recently, and I think he got a win. And there was a video where he was talking about the good work that you guys are doing in the Mauritian MMA Federation as well. Are you going to see, or are we going to see more fighters that are going to leave the amateur ranks and hopefully go on to bigger competitions and represent Mauritius?
Definitely, that's my goal. Because when you are developing the sport from grassroots to elite, so the people should find eventually they should see eventually a way above the elite level, because otherwise the sport will die, you know. So yeah, I'm already in connection with various professional promotions. Okay, so we are working together. We are having a kind of collaboration. I told everyone, if tomorrow I got someone in Mauritius who is ready for professional fight, so his place is there, I can just arrange for him. You know, but
Nice.
till now I can tell you we don't have in Mauritius the professional fighters, the level, people who can eventually jump on the professional level. But I can tell you in a couple of years we'll be having it. Because why? Because end of July, I'm launching the first MMA league in Mauritius.
Wow.
wow.
Breaking news.
Yeah. So the league is starting next month. It will be on the free fight nights, and we'll have the belt as well. So the people will have the belt. So we have 2 belts will be engaged in the fights. So it will be also a yearly event. So there'll be challenges. People will be willing to win the belt. There'll be cash prize. So I'm saying that over a couple of years, you will see a big change in the MMA scene in Mauritius.
Yeah.
People from all sports are coming, from different sports. But I told them not to leave their sport, you know, because for me, I should pay respect from where they come, which is very important. You know, I don't want to, you know, to just bring people from here and there in the sport. I need to pay respect from their origin, from where they come, because they've got coaches who have been training them. So the coaches have been doing effort. You know, I told them you can keep your sport, you can be in MMA, okay, but you have to eventually follow certain rules, regulation. You can't, like, you know, do whatever you want, and their coaches as well be recognized, you know, on their success, because what they have been so far till now, there is a kind of you know, we should understand that they come from structure that been set by someone. So we need to respect all these, you know, aspects for the sport to grow, because I don't want to create a kind of competition or people will say, okay, we are taking athletes from here and there. No, we should eventually understand that it's a teamwork. Mauritius is a very small country, it's a big country, you know, 1.2 million people. So we need to know how to share eventually the space whereby everyone can see their livings.
Sure. And we saw that you were preparing a team, or at least had a team for the African Championships. I believe it was last year. So can you talk us through that journey and, you know, how what your feelings were?
See, our first participation in the Africa Championship was in 2016. I've got one athlete who participated, Terence Nagamutu. So he brought back the bronze medal at that time. And I said, okay, last year we should also be on board for the Africa Championship. And yeah, I managed to bring 4 athletes. It were their first experience. So at least they step in the cage in that, you know, in that level of competition, because Africa, you know, the level is very, very high now. It's not like, you know, it was like 5-10 years before. It was a big experience for them. Yeah, huge experience. And we brought 1 bronze medal. But eventually we could have done much better. But I'm now focusing on the upcoming Africa Championship, whereby we should show a difference from last year.
Yeah,
For
and
sure.
just on that, what do you think the impact has been of? Obviously, we've seen African, you know, and champions of African nationality in the UFC at the very highest level. Do you think that impact has trickled down, you know, to get people more involved? You know, the Nigerians, the Cameroonians, etc.
Yeah, you know, the only thing that I see which is not quite, you know, in our favor is that people from Africa don't get the opportunities. You know, let's say we say Adesanya, Ngannou, okay, and other, they need to go out of Africa to get the opportunities. Okay, it was in Africa they got the opportunity, but we can't say that in Africa we don't have lots of promising athletes. We have lots of. And me as the president of the Confederation for MMA, my vision, my goal is to bring these opportunities to these people. Because you say, if you can't go there, bring it home. You know, and I'm having support from all my friends from other federations to, first of all, put in place the amateur structure, a strong amateur structure. Then, over time, eventually, we can also just channel these people towards the professional levels. But we already have people who can step in professional levels now, you know. But it's a matter of opportunity, because it's not come like that. It's a matter of connection, of relationship that you have, and from there you can also negotiate lots of things to be able to get a contract. But I think that Africa is an untapped continent for these of this field, and people are focusing on Africa. I know, okay, now, because also you should understand that all these promotions, if you see professional promotions, it's a matter of finance, money. So if they hold an event in Africa, do you think the return will be the same if you hold an event in America or Europe? Understand? Understand? So the interest, the people to be able to come and watch the fights and be able to pay the amount that need to be paid. So there is a difference. But now it's the interest for the fans also is growing. Now people want to watch those fights at home, live, And I think in coming years, things will change here, because they will have the market. Because it's a matter of market, So you invest, you have the return. Over there for the professionals, it's not like like social work that you are doing in IMMAF and Federation. So it's like it's social work. You're just involving yourself without expecting any return, but just giving your experience, giving your time. But at the professional level, it's not the same. It's not the same thing. Over there, it's a matter of business. You have to invest, you have to negotiate. It's money and money and money. That's why Africa has been left behind somehow. But now it's coming up. I think it's coming up. We'll have, because I think in South Africa, they are very, very fast on that. There have been professional events. Now, why not Northern Africa, Eastern, Western? But I think it's coming now. It's coming now. People are just much more with this social media, with the digital facilities. Now things are changing rapidly.
Definitely. And I think we see what you see. Obviously, you saw that there is untapped potential in Africa, and we see the same too. With the likes of obviously the PFL announcing the Francis Ngannou deal, and they're announcing that there may be a PFL Africa officially. Obviously, talks of the UFC wanting to do an event. I'm still skeptical to see when that will be, because obviously there's a lot of hurdles I think you need to come across. But we interviewed a chap last week, and he is an ex-fighter. He used to fight in the UK, and he moved back to Nigeria, and he's doing a lot of work on the ground in Nigeria. Has a gym himself, and is talking about that actually there is a lot of talent, like you were saying, and it needs the investment, it needs the sponsorships, and also it needs the events. But I don't know if you saw the show in Nigeria, the AKO show. I think.
I've seen the publicity. The advertising.
Indeed. Yeah. So we're seeing more and more shows like that, which I think should be good for the continent and definitely for each country. So.
In Nigeria, I have a good friend who is holding the federation, the president, Henry George.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, he's doing a good job over there for the amateur MMA. So I think Nigeria is also a very promising talents over there. Yeah, as in Congo as well. That's for sure.
Yes, I mean,
Indeed.
Congo. I believe boxing is a little bit more popular, but I assume
Yeah.
MMA is growing sport everywhere.
Yeah,
So
these countries are challenging nations, so we need to stay strong with them.
yes, exactly. But as you point out, I think Africa, till today, for example, I believe in the world they still talk about Muhammad Ali and Joe Fraser's fight in the DRC, right? George Foreman's fight. So we know historic. If it can happen, the first one will be unbelievable. So I'm very much confident that over the next 2-3 years, there's a possibility there. And why not have a Mauritian fighter on the card?
Yeah,
Yeah,
why not? Why not? That's my dream. But
exactly.
the thing is that the athletes now, they are much more eager to become professional overnight. Understand what I'm saying? Because what they see on the screen, they think that it's something that's happening, overnight. The guys coming and tomorrow they're coming. No, I told them it's a constant movement. You should be engaged in it. You should be disciplined. You should understand the environment. You should understand the sport. And besides everything, you should gather lots of respect for you and others as well. Then you'll be able to develop. That's the first steps as we say. But I'm sure the near future will have potential from Mauritius. Why not Mauritian fighter in the fight card, man? Then we have another interview for that.
Definitely. But yeah, no, I think we'd definitely be keen to. We'll be tracking the activities, obviously in Mauritius, and hopefully in the near future we'll be able to get to to come to see you in person as well, and track what's going on. And yeah, I really appreciate your time today, and we see a bright future for MMA in Mauritius, MMA in Africa, and yeah, let's see where we get to.
Because Mauritius is a tourist destination. Okay, we have lots of people coming to Mauritius for holidays, and they when you are in the sport, like combat sport, when you're traveling to a country, so the first thing you will do, you just see is there any gym or federation over there to be able to to get to connect yourself and make new friends and maybe do some exchanges and have some nice time. And yeah, we have here. I have lots of people coming to Mauritius and joining us in the training. We have lots of good coaches coming over, and sometimes they hold the sessions. We have good athletes that come and roll with the guys. So for them, it's kind of meeting new people and see also testing of the levels. So people coming from abroad and rolling with them, fighting a bit with them, so they can see that okay, our level is good, the training is good, so it's a kind of testing for them as well, to see if we're doing a good job
Yeah,
as coaches, as head of the federation,
Sure.
and I'm very happy for the sport. I'm very happy for the people. I'm very happy because everyone are willing to progress, and we have a very stable force, and we are joining eventually the system. And I'm 100% sure in coming years, MMA in Mauritius will be one of the best sport.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. So, yeah, no problem. I think certainly with the structures you guys have in place and the growing popularity, I have no doubt of that happening. So I think we're going to go move into just quick fire questions. Somebody, are you ready for that? So
Yeah.
this is a segment where, I don't know, you can explain it better, Somebody, in terms of how you want to conduct this.
Yeah, so we'll have a list of questions that we will answer very quickly. We'll give you maybe two options, and you just pick really the first option that you comes to your head or you think works.
Okay.
Cool. So who do you think will host the first worldwide show in Africa, PFL or the UFC?
I think PFL.
Okay.
Nice. Well, in Africa, will Africa produce the more world champs by 2030 than Europe? True or false?
Yeah, true. I know what's coming up.
Okay.
I know what's
Wow.
coming up.
Okay.
Africa will show its true color in coming years. I'm 100% guarantee you.
Okay. That's certainly a big shout. This one is probably left field. Minbui or Minfrea?
I like both, but
You
I
like
prefer
both?
Min.
Okay, and just for those, is boiled noodles or fried noodles was the
Yeah.
question.
With the eggs over there, the
Yes,
chicken.
exactly. And
But
on that, by the way, is it difficult to get fighters to reduce, to eat clean when there's so much temptation around them?
yeah, this is quite a challenging job, to get the fighters on their weight categories. So it's always challenging here because the temptation are there. But there are some people who are very, very strict in their diet. That I can't say otherwise. But there are some, sometimes they just feel like, okay, just to cut the weight. But I tell them always that weight management was on one of the major responsibility of the athlete, because it's very dangerous just to cut over 5-6 kilogram over a week or 2 weeks. It's dangerous for them. The organ needs to respond according to the pressure that they're taking for the preparation, also in the fight, especially if the fight is very close. So that's why I say I always pressure them. You need to manage your weight. You need to keep your weight. Yeah, you need to have fun as well, definitely, but everything should be under control.
Okay. One last question, maybe for me, is knockout or submission?
I prefer knockout, definitely. But on the side, I would say submission also is very important as well for you to grow. Because for the athlete to grow, it's not only knockout; it should be submission as well to develop his skills, to develop eventually, his the way that he fights. Because he can't. I think that each time he won't have the same kind of athletes. There's a range of experience in front of him, so he should be used to everyone. But for me, for an athlete, knockout is the best.
Yeah. And the last one from me, do you prefer events in open air stadiums or indoor stadiums?
I prefer in an indoor stadium.
Indoor. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
There are lots of reasons behind, but indoor stadium is better than outdoor.
Nice.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I believe we've come to the end now. Smart, is there the question? There was a question, right? I think forward. Pay it forward, I think, right?
Oh yeah, indeed, yeah. So we asked our previous our previous guest to ask a question to our next guest, not knowing who they would be. So lastly, we had a fighter on. He's called John Salter. He is an ex-UFC, ex-Bellator fighter, and the question that he asked was, how many 5-year-olds, so how many 5-year-old kids do you think you could wrestle with at one time?
How many? I did not understand the question.
Yeah, so the question is, how many 5-year-old kids do you think you could wrestle with at one time, at the same time?
At the same time?
Yeah.
Maybe 5, 10, 15, I don't know.
15 at the same time?
Yeah, no, same time, because it's a matter of game, how you do a game with them. A 5-year-old just jump on you and just move here and there. So maybe 5.
Okay, five I think is a solid number.
Yeah,
indeed.
5 so, okay, because if more than 5, then you have to have a game, escaping game with them, just running here and there.
Yeah.
But if you're wrestling on the ground, maybe 5 at the same time, you can properly enjoy the time.
Indeed, yeah. So John, he has a class, and he trains with people at different ages, and he found that some of the younger kids give him a very hard time.
Yeah, true. But we have kids from 5. We've got lots of sessions, 5 to 9, 10 to 15, then 16 to 16 over. So we have 3 sessions that we put in place.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. And then the last question that we have for you is, not knowing who our next guest will be, we want you to ask you a question to ask them. It could be anything at all in the world of MMA or outside the world of MMA. But what question would you like us to ask our next guest?
The question I would like to ask is how we'll be able to how I say that, how we so what do maybe he or she think MMA would be, in 10 years
Okay.
time.
Nice. Nice, that's a good
Okay,
question.
what's happening now? So in 10 years time, so what he or she thinks how MMA would be.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, that's a very good question. We will definitely aim to ask our next guest that and see what their response is.
Exactly.
Yeah, so thank you very much, guys. This was Mr. Avinash, who joined us from the Mauritius Mixed Martial Arts Federation. As we've discussed, Africa has a bright future, and we very much look forward to keeping tabs with, all the progress.
The pleasure is mine to be among you. So till next session, next meeting. So I tell you, thank you very much. So all the best to you as well, the good work you're doing, because the media is very important for our job. So connecting with media, connecting with you, people who are also a kind of dedication for the sport, because your contribution somehow will bring us lots of openings, opportunities, also helping the sport develop. So I will tell you, thank you for what you're doing.
No problem at all. Yeah, no
You've been
problem.
kind. Thank you so much. We'll speak soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, gentlemen, we've been over the rules. Protect yourself at all times.
On the fence. I'm on the fence.
We don't hear something.
Left hook from Yaoundé came and landed on him, so.